Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to replace the front brake rotors and pads. So I already got started here and I just wanted to quickly give you my tips. So safety is the first name of the game. So I just lifted mine with the jack and I put anti-roll stoppers, made sure my emergency or handbrake engaged and the vehicle is in gear. Everything is stable. I'm doing one wheel at a time. If yours is gonna be on a hoist or you're gonna jack the whole front, that's a different story. Next thing is your safety. So you need gloves. I like to wear the latex or whatever they're called underneath my work gloves, and a mask. You're dealing with the brake. There's a lot of brake dust. So yeah, this can keep your lungs clean. Next is you need to, I'm using something here to catch the brake cleaner, so I'm gonna clean the brakes. Another tip is to take a picture. Take a picture of what you're working on so you don't have to guess how it goes back together. This is a tip that I often rely on. I just snap a picture. It reminds me and tells me where everything goes and what's the orientation in case I'm not sure or the part that I purchased doesn't come with a user-friendly diagram. Next, we'll go on to the tools. As far as the tool goes, you need the 17 millimeter for your wheel and a breaker bar. I'm also using an impact wrench and a regular drill. A bit like this will come handy to tap out this part, and you need to remove this pin first. I gotta get a small plier to get that out with. Next is you need a C-clamp or a way to compress your pistons, and to remove the caliper, these big bolts. This is an Allen 10, so I'm gonna the zoom is not helping today. For these two bolts, and then the caliper should come off, so you can remove the rotor. Your rotor has two Phillips. Mine were not hard to come out. These could be challenging on some vehicles. Mine turned right away. Other than that, oh yeah, a friendly hammer so you can tap out this rod. And I think there's a 10 mil, where is it? Back here. There's a 10 mil back here that holds your brake sensor and brake line. So you need to undo that one so you have more flexibility and you don't end up putting too much stress on your brake line. Yeah. As far as the replacement parts, I decided to go with budget-friendly R1 concept rotors. These are a bit better than the OEM replacement. They give you a little bit better stopping, but they're not high-end, so they're not like for tracking. I don't do any tracking. I just daily drive this car when I have some free time, and I thought, you know, this has the slotted and drilled rotors, and I've read that they like to rust, but I only drive this in the car. It doesn't see any rain, so I'm not too worried about that. Depending on your area, you might need to look into that. For the pads, I went to the Power Stop Z23. They're ceramic and a little bit performance in them. Nothing super fancy, but I think this is a good combination, is from what I figured out for my research. And for the brake fluid, I'm going with the Penson Super Dot 4. This is a premium, has the highest boiling point that I could find, so I'm going with that. Next, what you want to do is open the hood of the vehicle by pulling on that lever, and I think if you own one of these cars, this is a no-brainer. And next, you want to loosen the cap for the oil. or the transmission fluid, because when you compress your pistons, the oil has to go back in here. When you do that, make sure you have room. If you don't want it to overflood and make a mess in the inside of your vehicle. So either do that or open the valve. There's a small valve right about here, and so you can drain some of that fluid if yours is overfilled somehow, or it's gonna overflow. All right, so we got through to the first caliper and rotor. We did need a few more tools. We needed a small flathead because there's a plastic clip that holds the sensor cable. It's right here. This clip, you need to pry it open. That's one thing. You need a 10mm to remove the bolt that holds the brake line, and then the one back here that holds the sensor and the wheel speed sensor, so you can open it and remove the brake sensor. So mine wore out on the outside pad, and that's how I got the brake light. The inside was not yet all the way worn. You can see this pad is a little bit thicker than this one, and yeah, so if you replace your pads and rotors before you get the brake wear light, that means your sensor is still intact and you can just reuse it. I had to buy one, which I forgot to mention in the parts we're using. So this is where mine were. So now that the caliper, the pads, the sensor, and the rotor are out, this is a perfect time to inspect everything and clean your brake caliper, your knuckle, I think they call this. Well, that's where your bearing goes. I can't think of the name. So I'm gonna brush this with I'm gonna brush it with a steel wire brush. And another thing I noticed is that when I took the caliper bolts, the top one had some rust on it. So I'm gonna brush that, clean it. And it looks like there used to be medium size Loctite on here. So I'm gonna put some, and yeah, so those are another couple of things that are gonna be needed here. All right, so using one of the old pads and the C-clamp, we put the old pad where it goes and lined it up with the C-clamp on the other side of the caliper, and we pushed the pistons in. As you can see, the pistons are pushed all the way in. Same thing on this side. These ones look like decided to pop. Well, that one needs to be pushed in a little bit more, but the bottom one is, so I have to push that one in. And you need to do that while the cap on your brake fluid reservoir is loosened. You don't need to remove it. You can keep it to protect. But you can see the fluid came all the way up. Luckily, in my case, I had room to contain what's inside the piston when the pistons came back. But in your case, you need to be a little bit more careful so you don't end up spilling inside the vehicle and creating a mess. Okay, fellas, we cleaned the caliper area with this metal brush. I'm using a drill, and we took the rust off of the bolts. Where's the bolts? Here's one. And I put this high heat anti-friction bearing grease. You can use that, or because I have this, so I'm using it. Or you can use anti-seize so that your bolts don't get locked in there. And next time you need to do this job, or for whatever reason, this is the Loctite. And we're ready to install our caliper and put the pads back on. So we put the rotor in there, and then at the end we'll clean the surface from the manufacturing oil, and we'll lubricate this area so it can you know, prolong it from rusting. Some people like to do a quick high heat spray on those calipers to keep them from rusting quicker, but that's all right. All right, the rotor is in, the caliper is on. We didn't torque the bolts yet. No need to do that, just in case for whatever reason. Now it's time to install the pads. What I'm doing is I'm putting grease on the back here. Make sure you have the orientation correct. So this guy is supposed to go like that, and so that pin goes in this groove, this pin goes in this groove, then the sensor will go here, and the other sensor will go there. Sorry for the camera angle. We greased the first pad. Now we're gonna grease the second pad and go about installing the sensor. So the pads got greased, the pin got greased, the clamp, the metal clamp. You want to grease the back here, because that's what's facing the pads, and then the center here where that center pin. And when you enter the pin, make sure you remember to make sure that this is facing you, so you don't have to turn it. And then you can put the metal pin in there that goes inside this metal rod, which is we're gonna do next, and then install the new sensor and feed it through to its location. Okay, so we're almost done here with this side. It's time to torque everything. These are supposed to be torqued to 7 foot-pound. I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna tighten them as good as I can get. Make sure your this metal part, the butterfly looking thing, is centered. Mine was shifted toward this side, and I noticed that, so I'm letting you know. Make sure it's centered when you install yours. This is where a picture comes in handy, because now you can figure out the routing of the brake pad sensor. There's the brake pad sensor is in there, goes under this pin, and then here there's a metal clip. Come on, focus. And then there's another one that goes back there. I'm using a zip tie with a offset fur clip because I have an aftermarket suspension. This is what used to be there, and it broke off anyways. This plastic gets brittle after 20 some years. This is a 1997, so yeah. So now we're going to torque the big bolts to 63 foot-pound and mount the tire. I'm using I think a 15 millimeter spacer. I don't know what your situation is like, but the tires or the bolts, the lug nuts are 96 foot-pounds. So these are 63 and these are 96. And then once you do that, and make sure you pump your brake a little bit, because right now, I don't know if you can see in here, there's space between the pads and the rotor. And that's all for this side. The other side is the exact opposite, except that I don't think there's a wheel sensor on that side. I think the driver's side only has the wheel sensor, but we'll find out, because this is my first time doing this. All right, so this side is complete, just the tire needs to go on. We cleaned up the area around. We took the tire to the outside and we cleaned the inside of the rim. One thing that I noticed is that my reservoir inside here it did not overflow, as I mentioned earlier, but it was almost to the top, and I still have another side to do. So I chose to bleed the brakes. So I bled the brakes with the help of my wife. She was doing the pumping. I installed that hose, you can see there, right here. That hose fit with a bottle I found around and an old sock, which is always perfect. And here's the trick. So you remove the plastic cover and you fit the hose on with the wrench. Can't remember off the top of my head what the size. I'll look in a minute. But you want the person helping you to be ready to push the pedal, and when you loosen this bolt right here, they will start pumping, and when you tell them stop, they need to understand that their foot has to stay all the way down when they stop. They cannot release. So before they release and their foot all the way down, you tighten the bolt, and then they can release. Because if they release without you tightening, fluid can flow back, and if that fluid has bubbles in it or air, then that air will go back into the piston. So you want them to pump when the bolt is loose to push fluid out. You will have the cap loose on top of here, and then when they're ready to stop, you tell them to stop with their foot all the way down. Then you tighten and you move to the inside one. So there's two. This caliper is basically a two caliper put together. There's two pistons on the outside, two pistons on the inside. So you have to bleed both sides, and that's that. So now we're gonna bring the tire that we washed and cleaned the inside of it. This is a good opportunity to do a little bit of extra work. It will take you more time than the main purpose of the job, which is the pads and the rotor. We'll also clean the surface of the rotor with the brake cleaner, and we wiped it clean with a cloth. So now the tire is ready to go on, and I believe the pads are now pushed all the way in. So with that, folks, this side is completely done. The caliper is torqued to 63 foot-pounds and the wheel lug nuts are 96 foot-pounds. If I wasn't changing the rotors, it would have been just as easy and pushing that middle pin out and pressing the pistons back in and then replacing the pads. So if I go through those brake pads faster than I think and the rotors are still in good shape, I'll just do a pad replacement job and I should be in good shape. So now to the next side. So we turn the wheel all the way to this side so that the next side would be ready to work on in a position that would be easier. We're gonna jack up the car, remove the tire, and I wanted to confirm if there is a brake sensor. I don't think there's a brake sensor on this side. All right, so we just got done the passenger side, front passenger brake, and so it turns out that there is a sensor also on this side, which I didn't expect, I could say. However, I got lucky because the driver's side sensor was not damaged, so I was able to reuse it and I didn't have to pause this job till I get another sensor. Everything else was exactly the same as the driver's side, and now I'm going to bleed the brakes, as you can see, and it's time to go ask for help from the wife. Other than that, just inspecting everything around. I'm going to take the wheel outside to give it a nice clean the area inside of here, and pump the brakes. I'm gonna drain the inner two pistons, the outer two pistons, torque the caliper to 63 foot-pounds and the lug nuts to 96 foot-pounds. And with that, this job would be done. And there's one more important step. Once you're done installing the rotors and the pads and bleeding and refilling your reservoir, you need to take the car for a test drive. Now this is important. You have to break in your rotors and pads. So the way you do this is you drive the car between 30 and 40 mile per hour, and you do mild braking and heavy braking here and there, like 5 of each, and then 3 or 4 reps again and again from 40 mile to 10 or 5 mile. So you brake, but you don't come to a full stop. And this way you get your new rotors conditioned and the pads so that everything is nice and compatible, and the surface of the rotor and the pads have made complete contact. Because right now they're not touching each other in every single spot. So you need to condition that. And this conditioning is important in order to maximize your braking or stopping power, and also not to damage your new brakes and rotors. So please don't forget, when you're done, you have to do this step. And always double check your work, make everything is good. Make sure everything is good before you take it on public road or the highway, where you can endanger yourself and others. And thank you for watching. Appreciate your time. Hope you liked this video and the extra tips. Please subscribe, comment, let me know what extra tips or what something I missed in the comments. Have a great day.